That's right. And of course, as we mentioned, today is Manufacturing Day from Sea to Shining Sea.
That's right.
And one of the groups that co-produces this event is the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, otherwise known as the MEP.
The MEP, that's right. Now, the MEP is based at the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, and it's a private-public partnership that supports manufacturers throughout centers in all 50 states plus Puerto Rico. So there's one in every state. Anywhere you are, there's an MEP that can help you out. Through this program, small companies within industry have access to the technology, training, and resources that they need to compete at the highest levels with best-in-class manufacturers anywhere. It really does a great job of that. So joining us now from a Manufacturing Day event in which they're honoring some of their clients, we're pleased to welcome Joseph Carotenuto, who is the Director of Business Development for the New Jersey MEP. And we should mention, I believe he's joined also by a couple of clients of his, Howard McIlvaine of Unix Manufacturing and Chris Crosses of Carl Stahl Sava Industries. So gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
We're happy to be here.
And we have Joseph here with us now. This is Joseph Carotenuto.
That's right. And Joe, why don't you start by telling us some of the types of manufacturers that you and your team work with?
The New Jersey Manufacturing Program is actually focused on working with small to mid-sized manufacturers to help them become more productive, more efficient, and more globally competitive in what they do. And we do it through a number of different services. We provide a variety of manufacturers. We're not limited specifically by industry, but we do deal a lot with companies that are involved in manufacturing all parts and components and supply chain for industries like aerospace, automotive, the bio life sciences, right down to food and machine shop operations. And the type of programs that we assist manufacturers with are things like compliance, to help an aerospace company, for example, get certified to the 9100 standard for the aerospace industry, or if it's a medical device company, we might certify them the 13485 standard. And actually, there's a number of changes occurring in that biolife science area, particularly with a new certification that many companies are just learning about called MediCred, which is very focused on the process and documenting and validating those processes. So a lot of the big companies and players in the market, like the Strykers and the Johnson & Johnsons, are asking companies to go beyond 13485 to be compliant to these other standards. But beyond compliance, we get involved in process improvement. We help companies with things like lean manufacturing, both training their people on it and helping them implement it on the shop floor. We get involved in helping companies with Six Sigma and process improvement in general. And then on the commercial end of the side of the business, we'll help companies with establishing a strategic plan, a marketing plan together, offering financial assistance, guidance, and even helping companies get involved in R&D tax credits, which for a lot of companies investing heavily in innovation, many of these small to mid-sized companies are not even aware that these R&D credits are available to them. And so we've opened the hundreds of companies in New Jersey to taking advantage of this. So that's kind of a general view of who we work with.
Hey, Joe, before we continue, actually, I think we're having some problem with your audio, so I think what we're going to do, Mike and I will talk a little bit here. I think we're going to call you back on your phone. We'll get a much better audio on that, okay?
Sure.
We'll call you right back.
We'll call you right back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but Joe, I'm glad you did that, Dirk, because we wouldn't muddle through, but
Right.
I think this is better to do it that way. We'll just have audio with Joe, but that'll be fine. So what he's saying there is that what the MEP does in Jersey, and they do it all over, is they really support their clients with a range of services. And it really depends on what that individual client is doing. I mean, it's not really one size fits all. They have a toolkit that they can plug into, and they can bring various and sundry things to those clients. And
Right.
these are mostly smaller companies. These aren't really big companies who do this. Joe, are you with us again?
Hey, Joe, do you hear us?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear?
We can, and I think your audio sounds a lot better, so I think it'll be better to do it this way. So let me ask you this question. You're there at an award ceremony today, I understand. So who's being honored and for what today on Manufacturing Day?
So we've honored a number of different companies today. We've kind of broken it down into small manufacturers, mid-size, and large. Small being less than 50 employees, mid-size 50 to about 250, and then large being 251 or greater. And we're looking at companies. We've actually asked them to submit profiles on their organization and the type of programs they're instituting, what type of innovation programs they have for new product development, and basically evaluating them based on these different criteria to determine who in their category is the most progressive organization, and then we recognize them by awarding them a plaque and the recognition and actually publications of information on them winning the award. The other interesting thing that we do is we also have an Innovator of the Year award, which is exactly just that, for the companies that are really proactive in developing new programs, new technology, and new products. And finally, probably the one of greatest interest or new to a lot of the manufacturers is we also have an honor roll now. And because Manufacturing Day is not just for the manufacturers, but we have many of the legislators in New Jersey attend the events. And as part of what NJMEP does is to advocate for manufacturing. We find it's important to have government and officials there to see what's going on and what are the issues and the obstacles that manufacturers face. And so we honor the politicians that do the most to help promote manufacturing in the state, communication, and to help facilitate changes where necessary from the government's perspective to help manufacturing flourish in New Jersey. So we also awarded some plaques to those officials who are particularly progressive with respect to manufacturing and helping to promote the cause and the growth of manufacturing in New Jersey.
I got a quick question related to that. Is the MEP, as with I imagine most most anything that falls under NIST, does it worry from year to year about whether they'll have a budget to operate, how big that budget will be? Is that something that you guys have to worry about from year to year in terms of support for the program?
Well, the program's been around for actually a very long time. I've been with the organization 16 years. We've obviously never lost funding. There's been some years where the budget crunches had maybe shrunk the dollars a bit. But for the most part, we have very strong support for our program on both sides of the aisle. What we do is kind of basic to, I think, America in terms of supporting manufacturing and the jobs that are part of the manufacturing industry. And as part of our celebration each year, we publish a report of what's going on in manufacturing and literally the hundreds of thousands of jobs that are generated in New Jersey out of manufacturing, in addition to the output and also the average salaries that are generated in manufacturing. Most people are very surprised to hear that the average salary in the manufacturing industry is $90,000 a year in New Jersey. So it's an eye-opening exercise for a lot of people, and again, even our legislators, to know the contribution that manufacturing makes to a state like New Jersey.
And Joe, in your perspective, I mean, as you mentioned, you've been in this game for a while. Do you feel that what we've heard in recent years, this hand-wringing that we've heard from people in government as well as those in industry, this hand-wringing about that U.S. manufacturing is in decline in some way. What do you see as the state of the industry today, and what do you see coming forward in the future for manufacturing here in the U.S. and in New Jersey in particular?
I'll take it. Well, I think for years, we've seen the decline in the number of manufacturers in the state. But, you know, I think if you're asking about recent years, I think we've actually seen a change in recent years. We've seen companies, I think the numbers stabilize. We're seeing actually a fairly considerable growth amongst really all the manufacturers in the state. And we're actually seeing a tremendous need for workers. All of them that were here today pretty much said that they have open jobs that they can't fill right now. The businesses are growing, they're expanding, and one of the constraints that they're facing is skilled workforce. And so oftentimes there just aren't the people, or more importantly, there aren't the people with the skill sets that they need to take on the positions that are open. And that skill set typically is tied to more of a technical orientation. The science and the math skills that are a bit lacking coming out of the educational system for the positions that are available. Obviously, you know, many of the companies have technology and automation and computer control equipment that requires a certain level of expertise that just isn't there right now. But the growth seems to be.
Okay, and Joe, if people want to know or find out more about the MEP program, where would they go? It's my understanding there's an MEP center in every state. Do I understand that right?
Yes, there's actually 51 centers, so there's one in every state as well as Puerto Rico. In the state of New Jersey, they can learn more about what we do by going to njmep.org. If they're not in the state of New Jersey, they can go to the NIST site, which is actually www.nist.gov.
Okay.
Well, Joe, I'm sorry we're running a little long. We're not going to have a chance. I don't know if you have Howard and Chris with you today. I'm sorry we're not going to have a chance to get to them, but we congratulate them on the great work they're doing with you guys there in New Jersey. Thanks for joining us today on the show.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
It was very nice talking.
Thanks, Joe. Talk to you soon.